Hey guys, this is a secret live broadcast. I didn't even put it out, didn't put it out on Substack, didn't do anything like that. It's 10:30, 10:40 at night, and tomorrow night I got my Sunday Night Live, or no, not tomorrow night, I guess the next night. What is it, Friday? I don't know, I just got back from Washington, D.C. Don't look too bad, right, for late at night. But I was thinking about a person I was trying to convince to vote for me in a convention. You talk about rigged. I was doing this in a church during COVID. I'd already officiated the gay wedding. I was getting killed for that. And I remember too, right? They said instead of it's okay to be gray, it's okay to be gay. They were saying it's okay to be gray. There were people carrying Confederate flags. That's how I actually got kicked out of office as a Republican, because I wasn't a big fan of white supremacy or, destroying people's lives. But I remember I had to call. They only allowed about 2,500 people to vote in a district of 740,000, they being the Republican committees, because they said I was a tool of the Antichrist based on my officiating the same-sex wedding. But I also had voted to keep pre-existing conditions. There was a resolution, it was non-binding, but I said that it would be a travesty to lose pre-existing conditions because my district had most of fairly funded health care. So I called this guy, and he was really angry about my position on abortion from Republican to Republican when I was one. And he said some pretty credible things, that there should be no exceptions at all for abortion ever, no matter age, what's happening with the woman as far as health, all these type of things. And I said, well, I am for exceptions of rape, incest, right, health of the mother. And as you guys know now, I've even moderated to the point that I can probably safely say I'm pro-choice up to specific types of, third trimester, things like that. I have this, it's hard, right? I actually do have a nuanced look at this, and a lot of it's based on science. So he goes, well, Denver, rape can be a blessing. So now we're going back to June of 2020. I already knew I was done, right? There was no way they're going to allow a primary for COVID. That wasn't going to happen. So at that point, I told the guy I don't want his vote. Now, I said it in a pretty brutal way, and that rippled across the convention goers. Only 2,500 people or so that I couldn't talk. I couldn't have a debate. Now, think about that. I'm getting accused by Republicans, far-right Republicans, for not wanting to debate because this guy said rape could be a blessing. That's when I knew we were done. That's when I threw in the towel and knew that I was gone. So I had to go all in, right? I had to be a monster against disinformation and conspiracy theories and insanity. What I'm seeing right now is complete insanity. Our country's being destroyed by 1,000 cuts. You have the new Census Bureau conspiracy theories that the Biden administration, all the way back to the Obama administration, specifically counted illegal immigrants to make sure that they won these districts. You have the conspiracy theories about Clinton. You have the conspiracy theories about Obama. But what you're seeing with the consolidating of power, like Marco Rubio having multiple jobs, Scott Bessent, I'm going to tell you guys right now, the people with multiple jobs are even as dangerous, if not as much so, as Trump. They're crazy. They've sold out. They're addicted to power. They're the enemies to America. And I was thinking about the founding fathers. Everybody talks about 1776 and Declaration of Independence, but if you go back, it's the 1760s that was really getting crazy, right? They were ready to fight. By 1774, you had the Intolerable Acts, right, which was a reaction against the Boston Tea Party, stuff like they had to sequester soldiers in their homes, all these type of things. You look at the Intolerable Acts, go take a look at it. I've reached my Intolerable Acts. If you think about it, you have Trump meeting with Putin in the United States and Alaska. Guy's a murderous war criminal and what he's doing to Ukraine. The J6 pardons. Unbelievable, right? The people that have been appointed in this administration, from Gabbard to Patel to RFK Jr., stopping mRNA vaccinations, right? mRNA vaccination research, insane. Seeing laws against chemtrails, seeing laws against mRNA vaccines. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, and I know I'm just rambling here on a Friday night, and I know I didn't announce this. I know there's not a lot of people watching, and I literally don't care. I just don't give a shit. Because I tried to warn people in October of 2020 with the QAnon resolution. My last speech on December 10th of 2020, I said fantasy would destroy this country. I mean, I'm right. And I'm telling you right now, when you see the shooting today at the CDC, purportedly because the guy thought that the COVID vaccination made him sick, when you see people going into a Comet ping pong, Comet pizza, shooting it up because he thinks Hillary Clinton is, trafficking children in the basement. When you're seeing all this, I'm angry. But that anger is turning into sort of this cold rage. And I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling it. I'm looking at media just reporting naturally, Scott Bessent is now taking over the IRS. And by the way, as evil as that guy is, because anybody who serves under Trump, you have to start thinking that there's something wrong with him. I knew Billy Long personally, the former IRS commissioner. He's dumb as a box of hammers. I think he actually breathes glue every morning with his breakfast. I mean, that's how dumb he's just ridiculous. Should never have served, the people. And as I watch people, come on, there's only 39 to 40 of, eventually I'll have, it's just insane, how many people watch eventually. But I think my anger is turning to something else. It's turning into resolve. I have these companies, I have fiduciary responsibilities. I could be sued if I run for office, if people really want to. Saying, Denver, you took investment monies, you have an AI company, you have multiple manufacturing companies and liquor spirits. That's what they are. In Virginia and the Poconos. Built a hell of a life. My God, if I don't jump back in the arena, am I a coward? And I'm asking, but how? It feels like, I've done pretty well in my life. I remember, we used to actually split a Happy Meal with our girls. We would get the water, right? We'd get 2 Happy Meals. We had 3 daughters, and we had 2 daughters, 1 baby. And my wife and I would eat half the fries, right? I was an E3 or E4. I was an E3 in the Air Force, and so I knew I had to go to college. But, coming from nothing and being where I'm at right now, I'm like, God, I owe so much to the people who got me there. But who got me there? When I was going to college, me and my wife were on Medicaid. I want to tell you guys some things. We are our 3rd child on Medicaid. We lost our first 2 children. Wasn't for Planned Parenthood. I don't know what we would have done. We were poor. And here I became a Republican too, thinking that somehow I could split that out. Because that's how I was raised. Very religious down the line. Yeah, I left the church fairly early, but that's what it is. But I just want sanity and facts to sort of be a baseline, and I just don't know how we get back to that. So if we can't get back to that, what do? I mean, are we to the point of the Intolerable Acts of 1774, right? What are we looking at here? What becomes intolerable to the American people? But the thing is, facts can't get out there. I was looking at X tonight, and the things that are on there are insane. People talking about Trump with the Nobel Peace Prize, he's stopping wars. And you guys seen what's happening in Israel and Gaza? Has anybody seen what's happening in Ukraine? I'm going back to Ukraine for a 3rd time. And I probably talked 20 or 30 minutes, guys, and I'm sorry. And I know it doesn't matter. And it's funny, I was reading people do this this stuff for a dopamine rush, right? It's like gives you a high or something. I dread coming on here. Guys, listen, if I could live in the woods and fish and hunt and be with my grandkids and just hang out with people at night around a campfire and tell stories of our lives, I'd be a happy guy. And you guys know it. If you've watched me, I enjoy just a tipple of bourbon. I don't drink much. When I do, I like a little bit of bourbon. I smoke about 1 cigar a year now, but sometimes it's that bourbon, that cigar, and you're sitting in the night air And I think about the things you've done, right? My years of service to the country. I mean, who gets to be a congressman? Who gets to serve on the J6 committee as a senior technical advisor? Who gets to start and sell companies? Who serves in 6 major operations? Who gets to be a New York Times bestseller, right? I mean, who gets to be on 60 Minutes? Who gets to do media? Who gets to do all that? I did in this country. I did. But the government helped me get here. ROTC scholarships, GI Bill, Medicaid, Planned Parenthood when we were very young because my wife had 2 babies we lost. Very sick. I look back over it and like there is this thing, this good faith contract we come into as Americans that, yeah, we could nominally be a free market, society looking at capitalism, but my God, don't we owe it to care for people a little bit? Don't we owe it a little bit to care about people, to love them? Not to laugh if somebody's dragged away, whether a legal immigrant or not. Maybe some humanity, maybe not law enforcement wearing masks. I didn't fight for that in the military. I actually think they're cowards. They're not being doxxed. It's bullshit. The bizarre Hitler-like, posters coming out that fathers and sons can serve in the DHS and ICE. Have you seen these posters? I'm looking at them in chills running down my spine. Going to a student of history. I have an IQ above moron. I don't think Candace Owens is smart or Ben Shapiro. These faux intellectuals like Laura Ingraham or somebody you think they're smart, right? It looks like, they're just spewing garbage, just this weird stuff that sort of churns on their soul. It's like sewage that they regurgitate and people eat it, right? MAGA are like the birds of these sewage people, right? That put their mouth over MAGA and just sort of vomit into their mouths. And they take it in, they think it's delicious. It's hot and steamy and good. It's intolerable. It's the Intolerable Acts. The thing that gets me with the Epstein files, and I just wrote a little list of things tonight. We have a president that was adjudicated for sexual abuse, somebody who lied about the Epstein files and listing and released them, knowing that there's people covering it up and redacting it right now. We know this. We're not idiots. It's just, I deal in facts and data. And if you haven't released it in 8 months, something's up. It's common sense, guys. But you look at, it's the racism, it's the misogyny, it's everything I'm seeing here. And I'm like, my God, holy shit. What do we do? So anyway, at the beginning of this, for people who went on, I was talking about a guy I'd called for his vote during a convention during COVID who said that rape can be a blessing and that the baby of rape is a blessing. And when I turned and I knew the people I were dealing with were foxtrot insane, there's no way you can negotiate with that type of weirdness where they're so confused, so ignorant, and so moronic that they confuse evil for light, that they confuse darkness for good. And I did that on purpose. That they confuse their own fantasy for universal truth, where they think that the supernatural that they're hearing in their head is more factual than data or any type of science-based solution or outcome. I don't even care how people twist this. I mean, I've had so many things cut up and put out of context in my life. And to a point, I just don't give a shit. And I don't think you guys should give a shit either. If it's true and factual, fight for it. If it's conspiratorial, fantastical, or it's people that are painting evil as good, fight against it. If you feel like you could run for office or help somebody, do it. But I want to ask you, I want to beg you, please, whatever you do, make whatever you do facts and data based. Make whatever you do common sense based. Make whatever you do come from a place of goodness, even if that goodness has to turn sometimes to steel. Please, don't give in to conspiracy theories. Listen, 2020 election was stolen. 2020 election wasn't stolen. 2024 election wasn't stolen. Assassinations weren't staged with Trump, and I'm hearing so many people coming at me that, fight fire with fire, fight conspiracy theories with conspiracy theories. I guess what I'm asking everybody is just be right, be good, be factual, be truthful, be moral, have a compass. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. But one I haven't made? I'm not an evil asshole. And I think if we're not evil assholes, we're going to do okay. And, listen, I don't even know if I'm speaking loud enough for this damn speaker, but I'll tell you this. For the dozens of people who got on tonight when I just jumped on, I appreciate you. Fuck. I don't know. I'm really angry. But when I get angry, I get relaxed. I get smart. And now I have to figure out how to jump back in the game through all these responsibilities of families and people and things like that. And, I'm not a very religious guy at all. But if there is some overriding force that can get me lucky, I'd probably take it right now. But I know that's not a thing. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to force my own luck. So guys, what you're seeing out there right now should really bother you. And like I said, you can't negotiate with crazy. You can only mobilize the same. You guys have a great night. And thanks for taking your time with me on a Friday night when you should be sleeping, eating, spending good time with family, having significant time with an incredible person, right? Thanks for spending with me just for here for the 20 or 25 minutes. Have a good night. See you guys.